Tell me about the job. Tell me what you have had some fun with this one over the years, working with Jeff and Jeff Arnett, who stepped down a month ago. Let's talk about this now, because you did not really expect to have an eye on this job for a while, right?
No, I didn't. Working for Jeff was it sounds kind of a little cliche, but it's just true. He and I are just really good friends. And I talk to him, all the time. And, whether that was a year ago or today, that hasn't changed. And to say that I was surprised is probably an understatement. I didn't realize at all, or didn't see it coming. He had done so many great things in the role, and he had always kind of been that constant in these last 6 years that I've been here, as his assistant master distiller. And, there was just, I think, a level of comfort between us and everything. And I was really surprised, but, I wish him well. He did great things here in Lynchburg and was such a great representative for our brand and great distiller. And I'm just lucky to have been able to work for him for 6 years.
Now, your history goes literally all the way back to birth, because you were pretty much born into the distillery family. Your grandfather was Frank Bobo, the longtime master distiller. And tell us about growing up at the distillery with your granddad running the place.
Yeah, a lot of people, you see born and raised in Lynchburg. Well, I wasn't actually born in Lynchburg. There's no hospitals in Lynchburg, as you know. But in fact, I don't know that we have a true doctor's office in Lynchburg. We're so small. But I was born, just about an hour from here. But my parents are from Lynchburg. My grandparents are from Lynchburg. Some of my great-grandparents are from Lynchburg. And so as you can tell, it's pretty generational here, and that's not that uncommon for folks that work here. Yeah, that's a great picture of me and my grandfather there. Thanks for sharing that. That's one of my all-time favorites. But growing up, in the 80s, my grandfather was certainly getting into the latter stages of his career here as distiller, and there were times, especially on Sunday afternoons, a lot. That was when I could kind of tag along, and I can remember him, pulling into the lane here, the hollow at the distillery, and just kind of, giving a little wave to the security guard, who may or may not have even been looking. I don't know, but he would drive up, and I remember, that even though I was young, and even though I didn't know what whiskey even was, certainly didn't understand what Jack Daniel's was as a brand. I knew there was something special about this place. And I think when people come here and they take our tour and they walk through, it really has a feeling to it, the cave spring, the history of it. And, it was just a special place. This is the best way to describe it. And it's really awesome to be able to be in this role now as master distiller here at Jack Daniel's. And this is my grandfather's old office here that I was able to get. We've renovated a little bit over the years, but they even kept my old desk. That's one thing. When I came back home in 2014, Jeff said, Chris, we've got this old desk that I know Jimmy used, and I think your grandfather used it too before Jimmy. And so they saved it for me. A lot of people want new office furniture, but I'm never going to change mine.
What's the first thing you're going to do? You've done a lot of work with the Tennessee Tasters selection, the single barrels. You were involved in working with Jeff on creating the Jack Daniel's Tennessee Rye. Where do you take the distillery from here? Because this job usually has a pretty long run to it. Jeff's about the shortest tenure anybody's had at 12 years.
Yeah, one of the shortest, second shortest maybe, something like that. But there's a lot of things that I'm excited about here, and I really think of it, from beginning to end, and really the entire process and what encompasses it. All the way from grains. What can we do there, and grain bills. And I truly believe our mashing, yeasting techniques, are certainly the most traditional that I've ever been around, and really, really proud of our whiskey makers over in the distillery, you know, that are overseeing that part of the process, you know, all the way through maturation. Our most recent Tennessee tasters that you just mentioned, it's out there. We actually were able to source some wood from Jamaica, and that we inserted a few pounds of Jamaican allspice wood, or commonly referred to as pimento wood. However, I didn't want to put pimento on the label because here in Tennessee, everybody would think it was cheese. So we went with Jamaican allspice, which actually is a very good description of the flavor. There's this really nice kind of sweet, savory, spicy note, almost clove-like, that really, really pushes the flavor of our whiskey. You know, you're gonna see us continue to listen to the market and listen to our friends that love our whiskeys, that we've gotten such great feedback on things like our Heritage Barrel release, you know, under the single barrel special release line. You know, we've listened to the Tennessee Tasters and gotten feedback here locally around, you know, some of the favorites and things that we've done there. And so, you know, trust me, I take a lot of notes. I'm very detailed. You know, it's a little bit of the geekiness that comes out into me, and we're going to take all that into consideration. And over the next few years, as you know, you can't make a new whiskey in 6 months, or heck, sometimes not even 6 years. So, you know, we're going to continue to push and listen to folks and friends of our brand around the world, and hopefully continue to surprise and give them opportunities to try new things.
I know that your grandfather, Frank Bobo, passed away back in January. But as we saw in that picture, I know he got to see you as assistant master distiller, and I know he'd be really proud of you today. But what advice did he give you about distilling?
Oh, gosh. You know, I don't know how much time we have here this afternoon. I could talk about so many things, Mark, you know, just around kind of the importance of things, the way that they did it when he started, and the things that I think with his 30 plus years experience in the distillery, 23 as master distiller, you know, there's not many things that he didn't see. There's not many problems that he didn't experience with that kind of career. And you look at, you know, he started at 37 years old. In 1966, right during the middle of our allocation, when Old Number 7 was basically the only whiskey we were putting out, and it was heavily allocated to every state in the country. We didn't export not even a drop anywhere, and that lasted until about 1980. And so nearly his entire career, I just can't imagine the pressure, you know, that he and his team were facing to, you know, recreate the same flavor day in and day out, make more and more and more, expand, you know, all the while staying true to this process. And, you know, we're able to enjoy now as whiskey makers here, and our team of whiskey makers here in Lynchburg, we're able to enjoy the capabilities and the processes and the traditions of doing things in our, you know, I mentioned mashing, yeasting, but all the way through. I mean, all of our stills are 100% copper. You know, the mellowing techniques, 10 feet, very slow process, you know, very intensive. You know, all the barrel making from scratch and sourcing our own oak through our own stave mills, all the way through the cooperage process. You know, all of these things that we enjoy today are because of, you know, what my grandfather and that generation of men and women of whiskey makers back during that time held true to, during a time where it would have been really easy to say, oh, let's cut corners. You know, we can't keep up. We got to make more. But they didn't. They kept doing it the right way. And it's something that they believed in. And it's something that he really, truly believed in. And so I think it's that. It's not confidence. It's not pride. It's just that kind of, it's just that knowing of what we do here in Lynchburg and the families, you know, that there's so many families here at Jack Daniel's that have generations of employees here. I'm just lucky to be one of them. And, I could tell you, to kind of speak for the people of Lynchburg right now, it's just what we do. We don't have a lot here in Lynchburg. There's not a lot going on, but we're really good at doing one thing. And, that is what he ingrained in me, I think is the best way to explain it.
We do have one question for you from Graham Fraser over in the UK. Any plans for new styles of Jack Daniel's bottlings? He loves the higher proof ones. And we had a question earlier today whether you might try to take Jack back up to 45% ABV or 90 proof. I know that's not your call, but officially. But what can we expect to see down the road here soon?
Yeah, you guys are putting me on the spot quick. I love it. What I can tell you, what I was talking to earlier, I think certainly what we've seen in the world of American whiskey over the past, call it 10, 15 years, is this shift towards, higher proof and more barrel character, right? More color, more complexity and layers of wood and things like that. And I think absolutely with what you've seen in our barrel strength single barrel, it gets really we can have exit proofs that hit 140 or even above. Now that's rare, but it does happen from time to time. And that's above distillation proof. We distill at 140 or 70%. And so, to have that true single barrel experience that also varies completely from barrel to barrel by proof or ABV, you are truly getting the experience then of being able to walk down a rick in our barrel house and sample different barrels. And so we're conscious of that. We're listening to that. And, we are going to have, more innovation coming down the line over the next year to 2 years that I think, in taking in this feedback, people are going to be very excited. I know I'm very excited. And so there's going to be some really great things to come. But the focus, as it's going to have to always still be, the flavor, the consistency of Old Number 7, the quality of our single barrels, our Gentleman Jack products, our other products, are always going to still be, right there as well.
Well, Chris, like I said before, your granddad would be very proud of this day to have you follow in his footsteps as master distiller. It's a shame that it was just a few months short when he passed, but thank you for joining us today. Congratulations, and hope to get down to Lynchburg and see you one of these days soon.
Well, thanks so much. I hope everybody is staying safe out there. Thanks for having me, and I look forward to chatting with you all soon again in the future.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris Fletcher, for joining us, the new master distiller at Jack Daniel's.